Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. Production started very shakily because they wanted Julia from the last two films to be the main villain, but the actress said no. And pre-fame Peter Jackson was brought on, but he kept goofing off, so we eventually got this film. In New York, we see a pair of ugly shoes owned by JP, who buys a weird pillar. Meanwhile, Joey is reported on quite actually nothing, but as soon as the camera stops rolling, a guy gets hooked and his head explodes. Joey and her cameraman are the only ones who saw this, so they head down to the boiler room, which is a bar and grill, and they find nothing. Then they have a random Vietnam flashback, but then a girl named Tara just shows up at Joey's place, conveniently, and she has a puzzle box from the guy who got hooked, who stole it out of the pillar somehow. JP notices the hole and digs around in it, accidentally nicks himself, and a little bit of blood gets on one of the faces, and it's kind of Pinhead. So this marble pillar is meant to be the wooden pillar from the end of the last film. Consistency! The two girls goes to investigate the place where JP got the pillar, but it's been abandoned forever, and all their stuff is crap. But we do get a Channard reference. Meanwhile, JP's having relations with a lady, and he tells her to GTFO. But then the pillar hooks her and rips her skin off, absorbing her. And fun fact, this lady becomes Tara when she gets her skin ripped off. Because nudity is one thing. Showing your underskin is another. Pinhead just laughs at JP after this, and he looks hilarious, sticking his head out of the pillar. JP agrees to give him more bodies, so he calls his ex. Joey has yet another Vietnam flashback, but then it turns into a World War I flashback, because it turns out Elliot Spencer, Pinhead, is trying to contact her, and then she goes through the looking glass, and then somehow Elliot split his personality off from Pinhead, I guess, and he wants her to trap Pinhead with the box in her apartment. Meanwhile, JP's trying to force Tara into Pinhead, but his muscles are apparently fake because he gets easily subdued by her. And then Pinhead tells Tara to shove him into the pillar. He takes out JP and he finally leaves the pillar. And he takes out the entire club below him, which is kind of cool, but also really against the Cenobites' character just to randomly kill all these people. Back at Joey's, she gets caught up on the plot and she finds the puzzle box, heads over to the boiler room, and Pinhead's taken over. So she runs away even though she has the puzzle box. And she could banish him right now, but she thought Spencer said box and your apartment instead of box in your apartment, which is really stupid. And then New York just explodes. And oh no, the cameraman's been turned into a Borg. And then the DJ from the bar got turned into a Cenobite with CDs in his head. And then the bartender also, well, this one looks alright. Except for the fact that he spits fire. These Cenobites, well, Barbie looks like a normal Cenobite, but the other two feel more like just OCs that don't fully understand that Cenobites are meant to be kind of ironic and sexy. That moment when Extreme Ghostbusters has more appropriate Cenobites. After a long chase, Joey makes it into a church, but Pinhead's right after her, and he plays Jesus for a while, which just kind of throws out the whole angels to some, demons to others thing, if you're just going to blatantly call them demons. Joey runs away yet again into a construction field, where, oh no, JP and Tara have been turned into, well, more appropriate looking Cenobites. Also, why does every Cenobite have to have a shaved head? And then Joey realizes she's an idiot and finally solves the puzzle box and banishes everyone. Well, that was criminally easy. Joey has yet another Vietnam flashback where she sees her dad, but it turns out to be Pinhead in disguise. The film just gives up on doing anything to Doug Bradley's voice, and Elliot comes to save Joey. Oh no, Pinhead weaponizes Elliot's sexual attractions. And then the two merge with bad CGI. Joey tries solving the puzzle box again, but she keeps screwing up, so she says whatever and stabs Pinhead with it. And that just works, so Pinhead's finally banished, Joey's saved, and she decides to shove the box into the foundation of the construction site. Which I guess is a good idea to finally get rid of it. I mean, what's the worst that could fuck? Also, this movie that was set in New York was completely filmed in North Carolina. Final body count? 271, probably even more, depending on how you count it. And yes, this is the movie that actually has the Hellraiser, rock you back in your seat Motorhead cover of the Ozzy Osbourne song Hellraiser, which was on the No More Tears album. It's a great song, I love it. And I like the expansion of Elliot Spencer's story. But other than those two things, this movie is bad. The rest of the characters aren't that entertaining, the new cenobites are meh, the plot's bad, Pinhead's motivations are bad, and overall, I'll give this film a 4. And yet, this is still not the worst in the franchise.